Hey guys, it's Dr. Nelson here. Today we are going to go through a dynamic warm-up. So this is something that you can run through in about 5 minutes. We're covering everything from head down to toe as far as ways to get your body ready for movement. So Tracy's going to start off running through this, and we'll start off with some lunges. So going down into kind of a reverse lunge. Twofold when we're doing these, so we're working one on trying to get the heart rate up a little bit to get blood flow, and then we're also working on depth. So you can watch Tracy's really trying to exaggerate that stretch at the bottom, trying to get as much range of motion as we can while still activating the muscles. For warm-ups, we're doing about 5 to 7 repetitions. So she's adding kind of a lateral bend component in, so really reaching overhead, trying to kind of stretch that, that lat and lateral chain as much as she can. Perfect. So again, about 5 to 7 repetitions. As you progress with this, you'll be able to kind of assess your range of motion a little bit as well, and so you can tell what you need to work on more. Getting a little bit more depth and going down into kind of a hamstring stretch with the runner's lunge. So again, really feeling kind of the depth of the lunge. And we'll repeat all this on the other side kind of after we work on one side. Awesome. Good. Now adding some T-spine rotation, so we're getting a little bit of that spine motion in, still kind of in that depth position, so really exaggerate, trying to feel the body turn. You'll notice too as she's doing this, she's really isolating the part that we're trying to move, so you don't see a lot of motion through her hips on this. We're really working on movement through the spine. Good. Down into the full plank position, and then chaturanga, moving down into child's pose, and then finishing with downward dog. So some of you may not be able to do these motions as well. Keep that in mind. We're not trying to force ourselves into any motion, but just do the best you can. If you're not able to keep your back in a good position as you're doing this, it might be something to kind of piece these pieces apart a little bit. So again, back to downward dog, full plank, chaturanga, child's pose, back into downward dog. So great motion through that. You should feel the hamstring stretch. Good. And then we'll just repeat that same series on the opposite leg. So you're doing all the same motions, just repeating on the opposite side. Still 5 to 7 seconds, trying to get the heart rate up. Again, the intent of this is just to kind of get your body used to moving, to get some blood flowing, but we're also kind of working on some of those ranges of motion. Adding in the lateral bend. If there's a part of this that you're really struggling in, this is something that can also be an assessment. So you can say, well, I can't really get my leg down on the lunge. That might be something to work on hip flexor mobility or ankle mobility. We can break that down too. Perfect. Good, down into the runner's lunge, back into the hamstring stretch, really getting that posterior chain. You should feel this one hamstring all the way down into the calf. Perfect. Good. And then adding in that lateral rotation. Again, notice hips stay pretty still. We're trying to get a lot of that motion through the spine. You notice as Tracy's holding that position, back is pretty flat. So you don't see a lot of rounding in her low back. Full plank, down into chaturanga, child's pose, and then downward dog. Good. Perfect. Good, good, good. Downward dog, another great way that you can work on shoulder flexion. So again, we're covering a lot of ground with these motions. Perfect. Good, 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 good. Just coming up into a lateral lunge. So working on the adductors a little bit, trying to get some more hip depth. So we'll repeat that each side. Again, about 5 to 7 reps. And I say 5 to 7, you can play with this. There's no lock in. It's more about trying to make sure that you're warming up, but we don't want to be fatigued before we move. Adding in some of that lateral rotation again. Good. Perfect. Good. And then finishing off, we're trying to get some depth, so going down into deep squat. So for this one, really feeling the bottom of the squat, bouncing back up into downward dog. You should really try to get depth, try to get as far down into that position as you can. Again, we're trying to kind of map that out for our body. Good. And that is it. Hopefully this helps. Thanks again for watching.